Devin Vassell's been playing really well of late, but does he still fit within the rebuild?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and welcome back right here to Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Hey, check us out on the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below. There's a link there. It says LO Spurs newsletter. Click on that link, sign up. It's completely free. And don't forget to subscribe as well on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app. Pick a platform. We are there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You want to download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What are we talking about today? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on your screen. But if you're not, I'll help you out here. So basically, we're going to be talking about Devin Vassell. He's been playing great. Numbers show it. No doubt about it. 20-plus points almost nightly now. But does he still fit within the rebuild? That's the question. Because our guest is going to rain in the parade in a little bit. So we'll get to hear what he has to say in a bit. And then to finish out the show, we're going to talk about some Locked On Spurs fan comments. We'll pick two. We'll react to them. So like I said, Devin Vassell, thumbs up. Playing great. Numbers show that. We're going to get to that in a bit. But in the recent weeks, it's been not uncommon for him to hit 20 or more points. It's not uncommon for him to be the leader on the court. And he has been that by default, basically, because Fox and Wemby, they're done for the season. See you next season, those two. So Devin Vassell has been raising up his game. And that's good, but is there a bigger picture that we're not seeing here? Why is he putting up those numbers? Does he fit in the rebuild? Is this good thing really a bad thing? We're going to be talking about that right now with our guest from San Antonio Sports Star. Look who's back, everybody, to rain in the parade. He is James Pledger.
I wish I started this in the shower so like there was just rain falling down.
Hey, or just wear like Fiesta gear, like you press the braids, and just be like, I'm just take peeling it off, throwing it on the floor. But he is with San Antonio Sports Star. Yeah, make sure to follow him on X at I Am Pledger. He is the host of Extra Innings. He'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So many things are going out there at the Star. He'll fill you in on why you should be tuning in every single day. So, James, I guess you're going to run in the parade today, huh?
Well, I mean, it is kind of overcast today, so why not bring a little rain into this day for you?
What a way to start on Monday here on Locked On Spurs, James.
Look, I congrats to Devin. He's playing well. I mean, he is really found his stride in the last 2 to 4 weeks. I even remember questions with Mitch Johnson and himself. He's usually short-winded at the podium and stuff, but he was asked about being the lead guard about a week ago, and he gave one of his longer, more thoughtful answers. Mitch Johnson talked about him, stepping into that lead guard role and how he's adjusting to it and taking over and helping this team. And this team has won some games and some games that probably shouldn't and might be to the detriment of the Spurs moving forward the more they win at this point of the season. But still, I get it. You're 2.5 to 3 games out daily from that final play-in spot, and you're shooting for it. Go for it. And this is kind of what we want. We're tired of the tanking. Like, let's try something, but you want to try something with your best players to get them that experience as well. And to me, what really brought this on was something I saw late Friday.
There we go.
From Brett Siegel that you retweeted.
There we go.
And it feels like, I don't know, propaganda, if you will. So Brett Siegel.
I'll explain myself in a few seconds.
I want you to. But Brett Siegel, an NBA Spurs, an NBA reporter that is very, very kind of connected and been a part of breaking some big stories and just really plugged into the NBA. On Twitter or on X at Brett Siegel NBA. He tweeted about the Taylor Jenkins thing, which was massive. But obviously, Devin Vassell, by fans and others are very, very divided on Devin Vassell, it seems, because Spurs fans very much do hold their own in a higher esteem than probably across the league. And at some point this year, Devin Vassell's trade value had tanked. It wasn't great around the league. And so now that he's the league guy, could he be rebuilding that trade value for something like a Kevin Durant or even just anything else around the league? Bring a veteran presence that also gives you a more stable 3-point floor space. And the problem is, and I think we've seen it throughout this year and previous years, and now we're going into year 2 into year 3 with Wemby. Do we continue to see if the fit fits? Because we've seen Devin Vassell by himself. He looked great. That's why we thought he is potentially a future building block to build this team around. Since Wemby's got here, we keep hearing about finding a way to fit, right? We keep guys have to figure out how to play with Wemby. You have to figure out, like, it's different. You got to figure it out. Well, all of last year was about figuring out that fit. Didn't really figure it out. This year, the season starts. Devin Vassell is out because of that injury that sidelined him at the end of last year. The Spurs start out hot. Stephon Castle is starting. Stephon Castle seamlessly fits into an offense with Wemby and can kind of play off of him and not so much need the offense to go through him. Devin Vassell eventually comes off the bench. It looks great. And then they work him back into the starting lineup. And that's when we start to see things clunk again with the offense, if you will. And there's indecision. And my thought process is maybe Devin has to be a league guard. Maybe there is no other way. And that's not a possibility in San Antonio. When you bring in a De'Aaron Fox, when you have a Victor Wembanyama, you need guys that can play off of them now. You need guys that are complementary pieces to that to build a bigger, broader picture. There's why you see things like in Phoenix when they put that Bradley Beal with Booker and Durant. It doesn't work because Bradley Beal can't fit off ball the same way seamlessly into this puzzle piece that they're trying to build. Building a team, and we've seen this with the Spurs over the years through their championship heyday, is a puzzle. How do you put the right pieces and make them fit around the nucleus that you have? And the Spurs are trying to do that right now, and I'm not sure all the pieces fit. And they're missing a lot of pieces to this puzzle still right now too. And I don't think it's the big pieces. I think it's corner pieces.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm with you right there. I think it's always, from this point moving on, it's surrounding pieces around the core three, Castle, Fox, and Wemby. But just quickly to explain why the quote tweet I did wasn't necessarily to be propaganda. It was more like the season's not over yet. And we're already talking about Devin getting shipped. I mean, that's my point. I was like, my God.
I mean, but already we've been here for the last few years, Jeff. You and I both.
I haven't seen
the season's not report. The season's not over yet. But the point is, it feels like we've been looking towards the end of the season since Wemby and Fox got shut down. We've just been looking like, get us to the offseason. Where's our draft position? What are we going to do to make this team better? Everything right now is about next year, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, you know, Devin has been playing great, everybody. And sure, we'll go over some numbers right now, just a few minutes, and then explain, or at least let me throw a scenario out for Pledger, why maybe he would change his mind and say, you know what, maybe Devin could fit. We're going to be talking about that more right here on Locked On Spurs with James Pledger of San Antonio Sports Star. Be sure to follow him on X at @IamPledger. But first, we're going to talk about Game Time.
There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity signing courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes tickets getting them easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. You got easy ticket shopping. You just check it on the Game Time app. Check out the amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. Super deals. Game Time picks even highlight super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. Peace of mind. View seats before you buy. No surprise fees. The lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
A Jedi uses the Force. To subscribe to Locked on Spurs. Pass on what you have learned.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with James Pleasure of San Antonio Sports Star, host of Extra Innings. Follow him on X at I Am Pleasure. We are talking about Devin Vassell, his fit in the rebuild. Is there a fit? How does this all make sense? Can we figure a way where everything can be harmonious in San Antonio? James explained thoroughly in the first segment that maybe not, but James, I propose this to you.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm getting some tickets on Game Time for the game.
Yeah. Make sure to get that. Well, you could find a really good deal on Spurs home games, if you know what I mean. Yeah, because they're not playing that great. But what about if he takes a lead role off the bench? What if he's willing to come off that bench, lead that second unit, him and Keldon, because those two guys work well together. They play really well off each other. They lead the second unit. And the other question I have for you, separate and apart, how much does the draft change everything if they get a best available situation and the best available is another guard?
I very likely could be. I mean, Trey Johnson could be there when the Spurs pick anywhere from 8 to 13, and that's another guard, also best available player. So it very well could be the case. As to your first point, with coming off of that, I've been clamoring for that. I mean, you and I have talked about this right here on Locked On Spurs. Like, I have been clamoring for Stephon Castle to be starting and Devin Vassell to come off the bench in a role that is more conducive to what he's trying to do.
Right.
Go be a microwave. Go be a scorer. Go be that lead guy. We'll give you that opportunity. I don't know if it's because Devin Vassell doesn't want to come off the bench. I don't want to insinuate that he is unwilling to do something like that, or if it's the Spurs justifying the contract they gave him where they're paying him $30 million a year. Do they want his 30 and Keldon's 20 both being bench players when you're investing that much money into these two players? So is this a front office thing on why they keep pushing the narrative for Devin to be a starter on this team? I don't know the answer to that. All I know is the fact that what I have seen, and what I've seen, albeit in smaller spurts because he was coming back from injury and whatnot, Devin works off the bench with Castle in the starting lineup. It does work. It is a lineup I have seen work for the Spurs on multiple occasions. It works on multiple factors. Defensively for that starting unit with Wemby and Castle together. And it also works in a sense of giving you scoring output off the bench that's not just Keldon Johnson. It gives you that extra. And Castle coming off the bench, he does too. He gives you 20 points a game coming off the bench. The problem is, I like his fit stylistically better with the starters because of how he plays.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily, despite being a point guard and initiating he need the ball to be effective. Whether it's screen setting, rebounding, just playing off the ball and catching and shooting, or catching and driving, whatever it may be, he's found his way to make the touches he does get offensively work.
Right.
And maximize those and be efficient with that scoring. Devin Vassell almost feels like he needs the offense to kind of go through him to get into a rhythm as a scorer.
Well, that's where second unit leadership would work, because he would go through him. Yeah.
And I like that idea. I just don't know if it's him or the Spurs or whose unwillingness it is to make this move on this team. But it feels like until now, and we won't get to see it because he is your best or at least second best, depending on what you judge him, Castle, where it is in the pecking order, your best offensive threats.
Yeah.
And so they kind of need to be starting now. So you can't figure that part out anymore. So do you waste another year 3 of development with Wemby, and does this fit?
Yeah. And I think it's just their situation right now is just like he has to do it. They got no other choice. You don't have Fox, you don't have Wemby. You know, I think it'd be interesting if Wemby and Fox are still here. Then I think you can really say, okay, maybe Vassell really doesn't fit because
let's tinker with this. Let's try it.
Yeah. But it's just some numbers real fast to show how well he's been playing of late, James. In the last 5 games, 21.4 points per game. Now, keep in mind, this is before the Warriors game on Sunday, so these numbers may change a little bit. But 21.4 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3.6 assists in 34 minutes, and that's in 5 starts right there. Interesting enough, he has not missed a free throw in the last 5 games, and he's only giving you about 1.2 turnovers, and the Spurs are, well, he's a +3 on the court. And the Spurs are 2-3 heading into the game yesterday versus the Warriors.
And his 3-point percentage is better.
Yep, his 3-point percentage is better at 50% right now. His field goal percentage is at 51%. So he's been playing well. But I think that's just, you know what? I would be more worried if he wasn't doing these numbers and then, you know, without Victor. And yeah, I think if he wasn't doing this and then putting up the numbers with Fox and Wemby, I'd be okay. Something's not right here. But it's glaring. He needs to be at least a focal point, not the focal point. I think he'd be one of the major pieces. But because moving forward, James, he's not going to do that. You got Fox, you got Wemby, you got Castle. And then who knows what happens in the draft? I mean, what if the gods smile on them again? They'd vault into the top 5 picks. Yeah. Then that throws off everything. So Devin Vassell definitely, I think he does fit the rebuild, but I'm going to agree with you. I think he has to be off the bench. I think that's the only way to work.
I don't know if he fits the rebuild in terms of what you're doing. You're about to max it.
But he's still a tradable piece, though, right?
Yeah.
He definitely is.
Yeah, and I think he's inflating his trade value right now with how he's playing. Like, I think that is, but the amount that you're paying him, that's a lot of money coming off. $50 million in 2 players coming off the bench. There is a salary cap in the NBA.
Yeah, that is true. All right, what are your thoughts? How do you think this works, Spurs fans? Do you think Devin should just take that bench role starting next season? Obviously, he can't right now. The Spurs need all the manpower they can get on the court. But what about moving forward next season? Does the draft change all that for him? Do you foresee him still wearing silver and black next season? Let James know on X at I Am Pleasure. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs, especially on the YouTube side of things. We're going to talk about that right now. We're going to dive into the Locked On Spurs fan comments. You guys are leaving a bunch of them. We're going to pick 2. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs.
What's up, guys? This is KG Tang, voice of Sanami Shinizugawa and Demon Slayer, and you're watching Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with James Pledger of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on X at I Am Pledger. He is host of Extra Innings. He'll brag about his show in just a few minutes. James, it's time to look at what the Locked On Spurs fans are saying. They're leaving a bunch of comments. We can't read all of them. I wish we could.
They always are.
but there's tons of them, and we're sifting through some right now. And you know what? Let's start off with, I guess, the easier question. I guess we'll get into Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. But somebody was asking about Chris Paul. This is from. I'm just going to spell it out, James, because I can't pronounce it. It's at YOPYOP 6166. Okay, Yup, I guess. Yup. 6166. All right. Yup is saying Chris Paul should not come back if he doesn't accept to lead the second unit. We don't want lineups, here we go, with both Fox and CP3 anymore. I think you were talking about Castle there.
Yep.
So what do you think about that? You think Chris Paul would come back, and would you take bench unit. Because remember, this season he was all about, nope, I want to get starter minutes. I come to San Antonio because I want to hoop, and the Spurs have lived up to that promise. What about next season? If he wants to come back, you think,
Look,
yeah, CP3, yeah, we'll love to come you back, but you got to come off the bench.
There's got to be stipulations in place, man, because let's face it, for what feels like the first time in his career, he's been healthy all year.
Yeah.
Like no hamstring injuries, no nothing, right? This is one of those one-of-one type seasons, it feels like, for Chris Paul, unfortunately. But at the same time, do you want to play? His leadership has been valuable, I think. I like his presence. You can't start. You can't. Do you want to be the guy that leads that second unit? Do you want to get 20 to 25 minutes a game and continue to be a piece of what happens to be leading this team into the future? Do you want to be a team leader?
Yeah.
Because you will be. It will be in a different role, though. And those stipulations have to be made early because this team is moving forward with De'Aaron Fox, with Stephon Castle, with Victor Wembanyama. These guys,
whoever they draft in a few months.
Maybe it's whoever they trade for. Maybe it's that draft pick is a piece of something bigger. I don't know. But is Chris Paul the ideal person to be in the starting lineup? I don't think so. And I think that second unit needs a calming influence like a Chris Paul that has a veteran leadership quality on the court as well as off the court, maybe to be able to change tempos, slow pace, speeds pace up, like just bring game time situational awareness to that second unit. If he's cool with that type of role, I'm all about bringing him back because I think he's been awesome for the Spurs. I just need to see a little bit less of him. And you know the way they stagger minutes, he will play with Wemby, he will play with Fox and Castle at times. Like that, the minutes aren't complete line changes, like the players mix in. But I think having Chris Paul lead a Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson second unit gives you a great bit of diversity with your bench and just the amount of drop off first, second, etc. starters to be like that narrows substantially when you have a unit that theoretically has that lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Spurs boast one of the best benches right now. They produce a lot of points. They're up there. And I think but you throw in a CP3 next season if he decides to come back to San Antonio, then and then you also again can't forget if they keep their draft pick or picks. There's a player or two there that definitely could help bolster that second unit. But we'll see. But that's a good question there, Yap. Something to keep an eye on, the future of CP3 in San Antonio. All right, now we get to the spicy stuff here. Mitch Johnson, right? He's kind of been a lightning rod for Spurs fans. If you scale it, it leans towards not many fans of Mitch Johnson. But there are some. So before we get into the comment here, James, just a quick background. This commenter is reacting to a recent episode we did about if apology form should be given out for Mitch Johnson. Why? Because at that time, that's from the Spurs. Everything they were like 2-3 in the last 5 or 4-1. They had like a little bit of a spike of play. They were winning basically.
You one of those wins was against the Philadelphia 76ers, who, by the way, have already been eliminated from playoff contention before the Spurs.
Yes. So in that little spike of wins they had there, sure, it wasn't against the best of the best, but they were still handling business. All right. So we thought, well, maybe should apology forms be sent out because at that time their defense was pretty tight, the offense was humming, they were beating teams they should beat. And so that was a question. So this is from at Spiz7221. He says, sorry for what? Not making the playoffs? Not having good lottery seeding? I'll sign that letter if they get the first pick. So this Spurs fan, it says, no way am I signing an apology form for Mitch Johnson. Where do you stand on Mitch Johnson? Do you get that he was thrown to the fire just so unexpectedly and had to pretty much learn the job on the fly? Sure, he had help with Brett Brown and Nielsen and then Pop on the phone with him, but he was thrown into the fire, line of fire. What do you expect? You know, he's a rookie head coach. Where do you stand on the whole Mitch Johnson talk?
It's difficult in terms of for him. Like, he was thrown into the fire as an unenviable situation, taking over a team that is supposed to compete after years of downtroddenness that the Spurs fans are frankly tired of, and growth and learning and figuring out a way. Like, these are things that a lot of Spurs fans are tired of hearing about. If we're going to be honest, you know, we wanted to see steps like the Detroit Pistons took this year with their young team, or Oklahoma City, who is further ahead in the rebuild, if you will. And sometimes you wonder, is Mitch over his head? Because it did seem like it at times this year. And you don't have time to waste with a Victor Wembanyama. You've got to start getting this train going in the right direction. And it feels like this train year after year is getting stalled out the gate. Just whatever it may be. They can't find that next gear, that next level, that next train station, that next town, whatever analogy you want to use to get us there. And Mitch, while seeming overwhelmed at times, and understandably so. Look, circumstances are circumstances. Like, coaches get thrown into bad circumstances. Look at James Borrego with Charlotte. You don't always get the ideal circumstance that you're looking for, which is why you have to be selective in choosing your job sometimes. Or are you of the ilk that is, these jobs don't come around, they're one of 32, and I have to take my opportunity when I get it? Whatever the circumstances, every coach deals with them in a similar type of way. You get your one shot a lot of the time. Whether you get a second one or not is up to how you performed or how well you're liked around the league. I think this will be taken into account when it comes to Mitch Johnson, but I need a big boy in the room. I need somebody that's done this. I need somebody that's been through the fires. I need somebody that can grab the reins of this organization and lead it forward the way it needs to be led forward, which is why the Taylor Jenkins thing recently has perked a lot of ears and because you're looking at, you know, does Pop come back? Is it Budenholzer, a multi-time failed coach, although did win an NBA championship in Milwaukee?
Mike Brown, yeah.
Brett Brown. Is it another?
Mike Brown, yeah.
Mike Brown. Is it another guy that you're bringing in that has had varying degrees of success, but also failure in terms of their NBA career journey? I feel like I need somebody that can have their hands on the reins, that knows the fires, that can go through them, because I think there's going to have to be, whether they're happening, and they should be happening now, you got to be proactive in a lot of the things that you do. Conversations at least have to be had about the future of the Spurs organization and who is sitting in that first chair on the bench to be the head coach. You've got a young future with a young core with a bright future that a lot of analysts and GMs and people would kill to be in the situation that the Spurs are in right now in terms of their assets, the talent on the roster, and the financial flexibility they have with this organization, and the actual stability of the organization and how the Spurs run things from the front office side of things, giving length and leash and leeway to their decision makers to do the job. And so with that being said, this is very, very attractive. And you have to start thinking about this future. And I understand Pop has earned the right to go out on his terms. Like that, you don't always get to go out on your terms, unfortunately. And most aspects of life, whether it's a job, you rarely get to walk away the way you want to. And it's unfortunate, but because of everything that Pop has done for this organization, for this city, for this franchise, for this community. But you also have to put the best interest of the franchise in the forefront of the conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's something I think that you have to look at in terms of maybe it's time. Pop, you will still be an integral part of this organization.
He's still the president. He's still the president of the team.
Is no Spurs without you. You are the czar over everything. You can go on road trips if you want. You can be on the bench. You can do anything you want if your return to health allows you to do it. But we have to think about the future of this organization and how it needs to be going forward. And I think a 40-year-old coach that has been through the fires, that has been second in the coach of the year, that has led a team into second in the Western Conference, I think now that that's on the table, you have to reevaluate what the future is and who's leading this thing going forward. And I think Pop has to, in the best interest of their organization, also think about these things as the president of Spurs.
Yeah. The Spurs are definitely at a crossroads with the head coaching position, whether it's Mitch, whether Pop comes back, whether he retires, or, as you mentioned, somebody from the outside in, or I guess inside, because Jenkins is from the inside, a guy like that. So they're definitely at a crossroads. We'll see it. I've been on the record as saying, like, I don't think Mitch has locked down the position, but I think he has his whole leg in the door, like up to this hip. So
I don't know about that. Like, as far as
saying he's a lock, I'm just saying he has a really good. If they have a short list, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it. He's number one, but not a lock though.
Oh, I don't think he's number one. I think you have to do a very wide and thorough search for the best available option to lead this team going forward. Because while I like Mitch, while I think he's a great guy, while I think he's a good part of this Spurs franchise, I have to judge him, sure, based on all factors, but also at the end of the day, the only thing a coach is judged on is wins and losses. Remember, in the first couple of title years, there were still fire Pop calls that came in on the daily if they would go through a 2-game losing streak.
I remember.
And so, like, Mitch has done nothing to, I think, solidify, take a lead position, or anything else when it comes to the Spurs' future head coaching job. I think this is a very, very wide open position. Now, is his name in the hat? Yes, his name is in the hat because of where he is within the standings and where he sits. But I wouldn't put him in the lead. I wouldn't put him in the driver's seat. I wouldn't put him with a leg in the door. His name is in the hat. He is a candidate. That's as far as I will go.
All right. Well, those are James Pledger's thoughts on the situation with Mitch Johnson. And we thank y'all, by the way, for leaving those comments. So really good comments there. But you can tell the Spurs are definitely at a crossroads with the head coaching spot. We'll see what they do. Look, the season's winding down. It's going to be a very interesting offseason, not just for the roster, but for the coaching staff, too. So keep that in mind. James, we've been talking about it all show long. Let us know what's going with you, with extra innings, the blitz, the star. What's cooking?
Oh, what's cooking? You know what's cooking. We're talking about this. We're talking about these recent rumors about Kevin Durant, Taylor Jenkins, the NCAA tournaments going on. So we're getting a firsthand look at prospects that could end up being potential Spurs in the future with the treasure trove of draft picks that they have at their disposal by the end of this year, especially with the way the Bulls are playing right now. you could have more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it all. Morning huddle 6 to 10, the blitz from 2 to 6, and of course extra innings with me from 6 to 7.
There you have it. Follow James on X at I Am Pleasure. Also, the Star as well at SA Sports Star. Give them a follow as well. James, always thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Hop on here, Locked On Spurs. What a way to kick off a Monday, huh, everybody? With the right into the parade of Devin Vassell. Way to go, James. Way to go. Good job. Good job. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow talking all things silver and black, and the season is starting to wind down. Just a few more games and it's all done. But we'll keep it going here at Locked On Spurs. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Canspy, Plus, app, YouTube. James is going to point to where you can get that newsletter right now. I think he can give me an assist there. It's at the corner. There you go. Yeah, see, James is giving me an assist there. Nice little Steph Castle behind the look pass there. Yeah, free daily newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. Go there right now. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs and the rest of the Locked On podcast newsletters right now. So for James Pledger, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.